Hello, Ashley and Elise here, back for another video. Today I'm talking about my 4 top tips on how to grow and retain longer hair. I have been on such a journey and I just feel like there are certain things that helped my hair grow significantly that I wasn't necessarily doing before, and I just want to pass on that knowledge. So if you are interested in how I went from this to this, then stay tuned. Let's get right into it. My journey to retain length started in 2012, and I just remember doing the most. I was deep conditioning overnight. I was adding things to my products to try to get more moisture in my hair, or, I don't know, give my hair some oomph. I used to have a whole day dedicated to hair, and it used to take hours for me to just style and do my hair. It was awful. And that is not to say that I was not successful. I think I had the longest hair at that point that I had ever had in 2015 when I moved to Denver. So it paid off. It just was a lot of work and kind of unnecessary. And I remember moving to Denver, not realizing that the routine I had in Detroit wouldn't work for Denver's climate. Denver is just a lot drier, there's not any humidity in the air, and so the routine that I had been doing for the past 3 years was just not gonna work moving forward. But I didn't realize that, and so I was continuing to go every 2 weeks without doing my hair. I would consistently put heat in my hair because that's what I had been doing at home. I used to do a lot of wet sets, and then when those got old and the curls started to fall, I remember using a curling wand to curl it. And so I had a lot of heat damage, and even though I could get by in Detroit with that heat damage and still retain length, when I moved to Denver, it just started to break off because of the climate. We're in about 2017, so I'd been in Denver for 2 years. My hair, the whole back of my hair, y'all, it just started breaking off. So I had my length in my front, but the back basically was non-existent. I remember saying, okay, something needs to change. I would like to wear my hair, in a wash and go or twist outs without having to put rollers on the end. And so I determined that I needed a curly cut. So that's what I did. I looked up salons. I ended up going to More Than Curly Salon that's here in Denver, Colorado, to get my first curly cut. And I remember the stylist at the time looking at my hair and saying, you have a lot of heat damage. We can absolutely cut off that heat damage. She's like, but if I cut all of it, your hair's gonna be really short. And so she's like, if length is important to you, then perhaps we just cut off a lot of the heat damage, but that we kind of cut it off in increments so you don't have to deal with having really, really short hair. If this was now, by all means, give me a cute little short do. I could absolutely rock that. But at the time, I was not ready for that. Long hair had been a part of my identity for so long, or longer hair, that I did not want to commit to cutting off all my hair. She cut off most of the damage. She gave me the best tip for my hair, that I think the best advice actually I've ever gotten for my natural hair journey ever. And I've taken that advice even today and still incorporate it into my regular routine. And that leads me to my first tip, which is moisture. And I know we hear this all the time, moisturize, 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 but exactly what does that look like? So the stylist at the time asked me, hey, on what day does your hair start to feel dry? After you've washed and styled, what day of the week is the day that your hair usually starts to feel a little crunchy? Probably about the 4th day. And she's like, okay, then that means the 3rd day you need to wet your hair and re-moisturize. She's like, you don't necessarily need to wash it. You can wet it, put more conditioner in it, and restyle. You don't need to necessarily cleanse your hair every time you wet it. Cleanse your hair maybe once a week or 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever works for you, but you need to wet it every 3rd day because that's when your hair gets to its dry point and you don't ever want your hair to get there. And light bulb went off in my head, and that's what I started to do. Every 3rd day I would wet my hair, I would recondition it, and I would do a twist out or something like that. It was great, but I still had a lot of heat damage. So in 2019 I got my second curly cut, and this leads me to my second tip for growing longer hair and retaining length, is to get a good haircut. I think it is so important to have really nice, crisp, undamaged ends when you're starting this journey. A good cut will help you have healthy ends. You'll have way less splitting of your ends, way less breakage. It just helps reset your hair. My third tip to retain longer hair is to limit your heat styling, or shoot, even cut it out entirely, Once I had gotten my second curly cut and my ends were like fresh and new, I decided that I did not want to put heat in my hair because I didn't want to damage it again. And that's not to say of course you can straighten your hair without damaging your hair, but I decided to lay off the heat styling and just make sure that I was taking the best care of my hair possible. So I probably straightened my hair maybe once in like a year, and I think the second year I ended up straightening it like 2 or 3 times, but I laid off the heat styling, and I really think that that also changed the game with my hair and helped it to grow much longer. Heat damages no matter what. It's really putting stress on your hair, and so you just want to make sure that you're putting the least stress into your hair care routine as possible. My fourth and final tip to growing and retaining long hair is protective styling, and I cannot express the importance of protective styling enough. If you ignore the rest of the tips, don't ignore them. But if you do ignore them and you only want to take one tip away from this video, protective styling is it. There are some people who can do their hair every day and still retain length, and kudos to those people. But I know I am not one of those people. If I manipulate my hair every day, if I'm styling it all the time, I'm going to have breakage and I'm going to end up being at the same length I was. For me to retain the most length, I need to protective style. I cannot express how important it is to give your hair breaks. And honestly, you'll probably find me on most days with my hair wrapped up in a head wrap. And that's even at work, on video calls. Like, I have learned how to do various different styles of wrapping my hair, but I literally wear a head wrap almost every day. Like, I think I probably go 3 weeks of like protective styling, and then I'll have 1 week of wearing my hair out and about and pretty, and then I'll kind of repeat. And that has been the biggest game changer, I would say, even above all the rest of the tips, even though they are super important. But I think that this tip is the single-handedly the most important when it comes to retaining length, at least for my texture and my curl pattern of hair. I have about a mostly 4A hair curl pattern, and so for my hair, constant manipulation breaks it off. So I need to make sure I'm giving my hair lots of breaks in order to maintain the most length. And that's how I've actually seen the most growth, and that's how I've gotten to this point, is just by leaving it alone. Honestly, this is the best thing you can do for your hair, and if you're trying to grow it the fastest, that's probably going to be your best bet. Like I said, you can always grow hair and still wear it out. That is more than possible. But if you're trying to look for the fastest way to grow your hair and retain that length, I would say to just leave it alone and leave it be. All right, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope these tips help you on your hair growth journey. Please leave comments below if you have some other tips that are helpful for other folks, or if you have something else that has worked for you. I love to hear more comments about hair growth tips because I'm not stopping at this length of hair. I definitely want my hair to grow a little bit longer. Please do comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.